Hello and welcome to today's video. My name's Jo Wilson and today I'll be unboxing, swatching and trying out an order which I placed from Cult Pens. Now I normally order from Jackson's Art. It's one of my preferred places to get things. However, I wanted some special Caran Neocolor 2 pastels. Caran released some special sets of these pastels or crayons, I'm not sure, for their 50th anniversary. And they are special collections of colours. Unfortunately, Jackson's Art had run out of them. So I found Cult Pens. I joined up because they have like a special scheme, loyalty scheme as well. And I've ordered them and they've come, and I thought I'd just have a look what we've got. I think I've ordered a couple of other Pro Markers as well. Sometimes when you have a bit of an art splurge, it's hard to remember what exactly you ordered. So there will be some surprises in here. And then we're going to have a bit of a swatch and have a look what we've got, and then have a go at doing a landscape with what we've ordered. So let's make a start and open our stuff from Cult Pens. Okay. Well, indeed, I did order some Pro Markers. I thought I had quite a few. Oh, sweeties! Oh, yeah. Oh, that's the blenders. Lovely. Right, that's all. Let's get rid of that. Let's see what we've got. Okay. Panorama magazine. And it's clipped together, a nice little paper clip. That's sweet. Put that on my special art desk. Oh, and that just tells you a little bit about Cult Pens. Oh, that's about, yeah, okay. Okay, that's that. Pop that to one side. That'll be the order sheet. And this will be the order. Let's have a look. This is definitely the Caran. Oh, how lovely. So I got four of the special ones. This one, and it's actually cellophane wrapped as well. That one's the, what colour is that? Just as exclusive colours. I think that's the Brights. I don't remember what I ordered now. Isn't that terrible? That one looks like brown, natural colours. That one is clearly portrait because look at the front. That one's possibly the Brights. Maybe that's like the landscapey one and that's architecture. I do not know. Hopefully it will become clear when we open them. Let's have a go. Right, now if you haven't tried Caran pastels before, they are lovely. They draw like a crayon or an oil pastel, but they're water soluble. But the colour in them is absolutely sublime. Oh, how lovely. Creative class, that's us. Beautiful colours. Yeah, that looks to me like landscape type of colours, which is great because we're going to try and do a landscape. Pop that in there. Oh, and you can see this thing. I'll cut it out because you can actually swatch it in there. I'll show you it properly in a minute. Once we've got going. Let's have a look at these ones. I think these are sort of building sorts of colours. Oof. quite often a challenge, isn't it, opening a tin? At my art class, I do enjoy watching everyone try and open a tin. Yeah, lovely. Beautiful red. It's like a deep red. Superb. What is clearly portrait. I do remember that much. The thing is, when you have a brain a bit like a sieve, when you do order things, it's always a lovely surprise what it is that you've ordered. There we go. Yes, portrait. Very nice. Well, I think these are brights. It looks like they've done a floral illustration on the front of that one. So yeah, I first came across these pastels many years ago when I was doing my, oh gosh, A-levels, I think. So we are talking before the turn of the century. So at least 25 years ago. And they are just lovely to work with. And the ones that I have that are really old still kind of work. They're obviously a little bit aged, but they still kind of work. Beautiful colours. Oh, I'm very pleased with those. Ooh, naked. There we go. And now we've got, so these are Promarker blenders. I'm not sure why they come in their own little, perhaps to stop them from drying out. Now I've got this many because I teach an art class, and this term we're going to do some Promarkers work. And actually, when I did my previous video, I realised that I needed the blenders. You just can't really use them well without the blenders. So that's why I've got 6, because my art class has 6 people in it. I've already got 1 for myself. So that means that we've got enough. So that's why we needed the blenders. Oops, knocked my video thingy. 3 more in there. And now, those of you who watched my last video, you will have seen that actually I didn't have enough landscape colours. And so I think that will do. I think that is a good range of landscape colours. So we'll swatch those as well. And who doesn't love a heart? Love heart. Thank you, Col Pens. That's really sweet. So I'll pop them over there for gobbling up later. So, join me again in a minute while I'll have organised the rubbish and something to swatch on, and we'll have a go at swatching them. Right, back again, and I've organised myself a little bit. And I've got out my box of Pro Markers. As you can see, I've got quite a good collection. But I just really needed those landscape colours. So I've also got out this, which is the swatch sheet for the colours I've already got, and I have rainbowed up my Pro Markers ready to swatch the colours. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to speed it up so that this doesn't take forever. Okay, let's go. Khaki, marsh green, moss, pear green, olive green, holly, petrol blue, midnight blue, French navy, grey green, denim blue, tea green, and ice grey, lilac, slate, shale, and dusky rose. Right, lovely. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to label those quickly before we go on to the next part. And I'm not going to use the Pro Markers today because I'm just going to do it with the Caran Dash today. But however, if you join me in my next video, I'm going to be doing another Pro Markers video because I have ordered some more Pro Markers from Vinted. So I'm going to unbox those from Vinted, and I'm going to then do a landscape, which I couldn't do before because I didn't have the right colours. But I'm just going to label those now, and then I'll be back to open the Caran dash and do a swatching of that. Right, that's all done and dusted, and I've added them to my collection, which I love. Ooh, look at all the pens. Anyway, I have popped those on there. Not as many greens as I would have liked. Some of these are cool green things, but they're actually in reality not terribly green, like grey green and tea green. Anyway, they're all great, brilliant quality. And the thing I forgot to say was Cult Pens Pro Markers are actually cheaper than you can get on Jackson Art, and by quite a bit as well. And especially if you're buying a lot, it's worth actually looking where you can buy the Pro Markers more inexpensively. Anyway, let's put that to one side because we are going on to do the swatching and the Caran dash, and I have looked on the delivery sheet to remind myself of what these are called. Now, I was right about those. Those are the portrait selection, which are those colours, and these were called dark, and these were called lush, and these were called pop. I nearly forgot again. So there we go. And you cut up the packaging that comes around it, you see, and it comes with its own little sheet to swatch onto. So I'm going to do those and speed it up, and then afterwards we are going to go on to do the let's see how they work, try it out bit. Okay, let's make a start. Purple, Tyrian pink, yellow, fast orange, light cadmium red, rose of Garance, purple violet, light lilac, periwinkle blue, and indigo blue. Prussian blue, lilac, dark green, Skagin blue, chrysoprase green, Viennese green, grass green, Wakuba green, light olive 40%, and Chinese green. Payne's grey, sepia, olive brown, brown, zinc ochre, crimson, moss green, grey, dark garnet, caput mortuum, white, light peony yellow, conch pearl, salmon, light wine, crimson again, russet, burnt sienna, Van Dyke brown, and aubergine. Right, lovely, that's all done. Let's bring them all back and have a look at them all together. I've also already got some of these, obviously not in these special colours. So I need to dig those out and get a picture ready for us to draw from. And the other thing I forgot to mention about these special sets, you'll see it says 3 exclusive colours. Each of these sets has 3 exclusive colours to these sets. You can't get them in the main colours, even if you buy the really massive pack, which I think is £180. So yeah, so you can only get them in these, and I think probably one of my absolute favourites, and I'm going to say it wrong because it's Latin, it says caput mortuum, which I think is deadhead, but anyway, I don't know. But it's a brown so dark it almost looks black. Love it. And some other really good ones as well. Anyway, so let's move on. I shall get my other ones out and get a picture ready, prepared for us to use for the next bit. Right, back again, and you'll see that I've got my existing package out. This is the set of 15, and I've had a look at the colours, and I've worked out there aren't many that I've got in the new packs that I've already got. So I've got the white already, and I've got the brown already, and I think I've got yellow and purple. But other than that, I've got similar colours, but not exactly the same. So I've got quite a lot of new colours. So anyway, let's put those all around and I'll have a look what we're going to do. So let's put that outside. Space is an issue on this desk. I've got a tiny desk, as you can see. Generally, I work out what to do. Oh, and I've got a couple of extra bits as well, which of course I've got my water pot. And there we go. I reckon I can squeeze that in there. And I've got my brush. It is a Cotman, a Winsor & Newton brush, size 6. Just because we are going to do a little bit of water on it, and that is why we are also using cold pressed watercolour paper. Thing I learned today, cold pressed paper has the texture on it and it's good for lots of water. Hot pressed watercolour paper is smooth and is good for work like pen and ink with wash, because it can take water but it doesn't have a texture surface, which when you try and draw you'll be able to see the texture. So I don't mind in this instance, because I think the Neocolor 2 can take it and it will look nice with a bit of texture underneath. It's fine. And I have also got this, which is my little tablet, and this time for our inspiration we go to a beautiful nature reserve in Dorset called Arn, and please don't go there, I don't want it full of people, but it's really, really nice. And this part is the heathland, and I thought you get a lovely colour, and you could probably tell that I fiddled with the colour in that photo a little bit there, put some filters on just so I can get the heath quite purple in the background and some of the deeper rustier browns, very vivid green, and then a lovely bit of atmospheric perspective, which is where as you go further back it gets sort of paler into the background. So anyway, that is what we're working from today. Put that on my little easel. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to draw it out first with the crayons, the pastels, whatever you want to call them, and then I'm going to go over with some water, and then I'm going to draw back into it afterwards to finish. It's just going to be a quick one today. I'm really not going to do very long on this. So let's get going. Choosing some, I'm going to go for some dark colours first, I think. I'm going for this dark green. I'm going to plot most of it out in this, I think. So there's a sort of a lump there. There we go, there. So this first stage I call mapping out. I'm using a mid-green, but I'm not pressing very hard, so if it does go a bit wrong at this stage, then it doesn't really matter, it's quite forgiving. So I put in the major landmarks and any important lines, and now I'm starting to add a selection of coloured patches, mainly in the different greens. I'm trying to make this bit look like grasses, like those hard spiky grasses that we find in marshland. And the marks they're making in the foreground, I make quite large and long compared to those that I'm putting in the mid to background. And this is because as things are closer to us, they are more detailed. So the photo that I'm working from, as I said, is from Arn, which is a nature reserve. It's an RSPB site in Dorset. And what's great about it is that it has a variety of different habitats there. And I think this photo really reflects that. So in the foreground, as I've said, we've got these spiky grasses in the marshland. And then in the midground, we've got area of heathland, and a few coniferous trees and a few bushes, quite sparse bushes, and then a bit of bracken. And then further back, we can see there's an area of wetland where the estuary comes in. And in the far distance, we can see a bit of coastline. So I'm just trying to put in patches that kind of express those different areas. So that orange on the side there's probably more like something like bracken, like dried up ferns. And then we've got the purple for the heathland, and now I'm working on the edge of the estuary, putting in a few lone trees and bushes. There's a few large conifers there. And I'm not putting them in like a major amount of detail, especially as they go further back, because this is meant to be just a quick sketch, really. So hopefully you can see that the marks in the midground are a little bit more vague and they lack detail compared to the grassy part in the foreground. And then in the background, the shapes become much more blended and pale. So this I'm just putting in now is just the distant coastline. So you can see a little bit of the edges of that. And then as you go further back, those hills have got a bit of bluishness to them, and then some sort of bluish greyness to the sky as well. So as I'm doing this, I am making really good use of the new packs of colour, and next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pop in a bit of detail. So that's the sky finished. So now we're putting a few little bits, details on the edge of the hills in the background, some bushes in the midground, and then we go on to the brush. So I have a little bit of kitchen roll to hand, and I've got my water pot and my size 6 brush, and I'm working from the sky. So I'm using the wet brush there, spreading the water on, but also just moving around the colour. I was trying to melt the pastels and the colour, blending the colours a little bit, but at the same time I'm trying to preserve patches of colour. So this starts to go a little bit too much here. So I'm just trying to not let it spread too much into itself and preserve those patches that I've drawn in. So a little bit at a time is key. You can see here that the colour that comes out of the Caran dash now, and just adding the water really makes the drawing come to life. And it's quite difficult at this stage to contain it. And you can see that the colour is trying to go into other bits, to other parts of the drawing. Well, it's a painting now, I suppose. This requires quite a lot of brush cleaning, so you'll see that I'm going back to my water pot. I'm cleaning my brush, drying it out quite a lot, so that I'm trying to preserve the areas of colour, so that the colours, you know, don't blend too much at this stage. And it's really important to go over the trees and bushes carefully, so they don't blend with the other bits that are around them. And you can see that I'm also stippling with my brush quite a lot there. So I'm trying to create that kind of vegetation look. And I'm also using the kitchen roll as well as I go. And so now I'm working into the foreground, starting to paint a patch at a time, and I'm trying to hold the brush in such a way that I'm painting sort of up and down in the direction of my marks so that the original drawing isn't lost. And at some points here it gets to be a bit too wet, or there's too much colour. That's what the kitchen roll's for, so I've got that on hand. And you can, like, let's say quite a lot of dark came in there suddenly, and if that's too much, you can just get a piece of kitchen roll and just take that back a little bit using the kitchen roll. So you can see suddenly it's a bit much, so I'm just lifting that colour with the kitchen roll. You can also just get a really dry brush and just move the colour with a dry brush if it starts to become too much in a certain patch. And I'm stippling right at the front here, trying to create that texture whilst I'm blending the colours. And just finishing this bit at the front with the dark in the bush all the way to the ground. Right, there we go. That paper's warped a little bit, but we're about there with the painting part. And all you can see now that all it needs is a bit of time to dry and just a little bit of drawing back on top of that one. And then we've got a really quick and easy landscape. Okay, that's mostly dry. So on to the final stage, and we're going to just draw into this a little bit now. What to start with? So again, I'm starting with a mid-green, and my intention here is just to add a few marks through the grasses and vegetation in the foreground. Just trying to liven up some of that area. And I'm using my new favourite here, which is that Caput Mortem. I'm just trying to get some depth in here because these plants in the in between the ground and the plant itself just needs to kind of pick them out, so they're kind of layered as they go back and they've got greater depth. And I'm using that dark colour to really re-establish some of the really dark bits and some of the detail. And I'm trying to break up the green a little bit with the dark colour. So here, just creating some shadow at the bottom of these bushes. And a bit of detail in here too. So I'm just re-establishing that tree there. And just really nice light loose kind of marks. And you want a few marks here and there because you want it to look naturalistic. Yeah, as I said, I'm just trying to sort of break up that green a little bit and make sure those trees are nice and clear. And just add a few more little details, just pick out some bits here. Not too much in the mid to background, because we don't want it to have any great depth in the background. Otherwise it'll just be a bit much. You'll see one of the things we'll be doing at the end is going to put a bit more white on to kind of knock that back a little. So now I'm using one of my other new ones, which is the Tyrian Pink. And I'm adding a few flowers of the heather so that we can see in the foreground that there are like little bits of heather in the foreground too. And here I'm using some zinc ochre, and that's for the bracken in the foreground left hand side and further back on the right hand side in the midground. And I'm putting in some purple and light lilac here because I'm trying to make these swathes of heather a bit more vibrant, just a bit more eye-catching, and just really bring that colour out, even if it isn't really there. So just little touches. And now I go in with the white. And I go over a lot of this picture with the white, but particularly in your background because I'm trying to knock back the colour. And just give it that bit of atmospheric perspective where things get paler as they go away from us. And I put a bit on the water of the estuary there as well, just to really pick up the lightness. And also using here a light peony yellow, which was one of my new ones, just to add highlights to the plants in the foreground and some final touches. There we go. Right, it's done. I'm going to try and uncurl it a little bit, just so you can see the top a bit better. There we go. Right, that's done. Lovely little painting drawing again. I hope you enjoyed that video. And I hope you join me next time when we will be looking at another package from Vinted and some more Pro Markers. Thanks for joining me.